Welcome, everybody, to the R&amp Catcast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right, welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the R&amp Catcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Foley. He's your host, Ryan Thornburg. We are the Ryans of the R&R, the Montana State affiliate of the Big Sky Podcast Network. We have a great sponsor in Gear Up Sports, a youth sports platform focused on solving the uniform and apparel headache for coaches. If you're a youth or high school coach and need uniforms or player packs, please contact them at www.gearupwithus.com. Make sure to mention the R&R Catcast. Man, you are trying.
I was trying
too hard to read up, man. You're trying too hard. Oh,
how you doing? How are you doing, sir?
As a Bobcat fan, really good.
Mm-hmm.
As a human being, just kind of tired right now. But hey, we can't complain about being tired. We're sitting here talking on microphones, drinking beer, talking about the Bobcats after a statement win. Life's good, bro.
Life is good.
My Bengals just beat your Rams.
Yes, you did. Some revenge, I suppose, but ultimately, I still think you'd probably change places with me.
I don't think so. Hey, think about this.
I mean, the Super Bowl,
those uniforms the Bengals wear, those whiteout uniforms, easily the coolest uniforms in pro sports.
I can't argue with that. And the environment there was great. The fans are great. Like the fans in Los Angeles suck.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the stadium's like never really full. And then when it is full, it's because half the fans are from the other team. It's like,
I've never been to a Bengals game, shockingly.
It just looked awesome on TV.
Yeah, they have all the sayings they do. Of course, they do the Who Dey chant. But apparently they sing a song pre-game, and the whole stadium just gets behind it. And it's just the Bengals. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. Like, Cincinnati fans are awesome fans. We've been through a lot of heartache. So when things are going good, they get into it.
Love it. Well, things are going good in Bozeman.
Heck yeah, they are, man.
Ooh. Can't wait to do it.
Yeah, Chuck, put that against how things are going over in Missoula right now.
Ooh. Wouldn't trade places there. Goodness.
Oh. All right. Hey, let's get a show rundown. We're going to get into some news, which essentially is Sean Chambers is Big Sky Offensive Player of the Week. We all knew that was going to happen as soon as the game was over. Awesome news for Sean. We'll talk about maybe a little bit what that means going forward. I'm sure that quarterback conversation is going to come up. That'll probably be a good talking point with us. We haven't talked that out yet. Injury. We'll get into some injury reports. The vegan presser. We'll go into the FCS rankings. We'll do the Weber breakdown. We have some stats. We'll do the PSU breakdown. You texted me this weekend that you were doing a quote-unquote deep dive on Portland State.
I did.
We'll see how deep you went. And yeah, right. And then the Golden Coolie questions, which, hey, thank you, fans, for just starting up the Golden Coolie thread on a Monday without me even thinking about it.
Recap.
What is that?
Box score.
I need a little bit of a reprimand. All these people who are winning Golden Coolies are not reaching out to us because I haven't sent a Golden Coolie out in 2 weeks.
Who won the last one? I thought somebody reached out to us.
See, maybe it was a Twitter one. It was on what was it last week?
Oh yeah. I thought I've already do that. But anyway, if not, I'll get back to that person and hopefully get some more mailed out here this season. We got some to spare.
Yeah. Gotta get that swag out. But first, what we do before we do anything, talk about what's in those Golden Coolies.
What's in your Golden Coolie?
Yeah. Well, What's in your golden coolie is brought to you by Wilbur Ellis. Sorry, Wilbur Ellis. See Shay Richter for all your fertilizer and farming needs in the Golden Triangle. Those guys do good work up there. Give them a shout.
I was hoping you were gonna do the whole read.
I chickened out. I was gonna start off with it, but like, nah. All right, I got the. Jeez, I forgot. Jeremiah Johnson, Mountain Man, Scotch Ale. If you've been listening to the show,
Scotch Ale,
you know that I've drank this many times. Partly because they were our sponsor, but most because it's a damn good beer, and I'm still drinking it even though they're not our sponsor anymore, because that's how much I like it. So, it's good stuff.
There you go. I thought twice about buying this beer during football season, and we've talked about this before. The green can.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go.
Moose Drool.
Is that some sort of like a little jab right now?
Well, sitting there in the grocery store, I'm like, man, do I buy Moose Drool? I haven't had a Moose Drool in a long time. It sounds really good. I knew I had to buy a beer for this week. But I kind of rationalized it. I was like, man, do I avoid it during football season? And no, it's just during Cat Grizz week.
I mean,
drink Moose Drool.
I had Kettle House beer last week or whatever.
Yeah, I'm just irrational thoughts running through my head as I'm trying to pick beer.
I think it'd be great if you bought it because the Grizz laid an egg.
Yeah, celebrate. Good job, Grizz.
Good job.
Becoming more irrelevant by the week.
Oh, man, what a great weekend of football it was. Anytime that you get to revel in your opponent's loss and your big-time win, it's damn good.
Yeah. Did you watch the Bobby Houck press conference?
Just that one little clip that kind of circulated on Twitter when Frank asked him a question. I didn't even watch it, I guess. No, not really. Was it pretty salty?
It's just uncomfortable as a human to watch it. He's just so mean. I mean, not mean. He's just a dick. I mean, for lack of a better term, like Greg didn't ask him anything that any Grizz fan wasn't thinking. Like, that's why, Greg, Frank, that's why Frank asked that question. And I don't know, like, we're not here to talk Bobby Houck a lot, but I just don't think he's earned that right to be that kind of a response, I guess, to a reporter just trying to do his job. So I get the frustrations, but I don't know.
But Bobby Houck being standoffish to reporters? What?
Yeah, I know, right?
It happened the first time
It just makes
around?
me thankful for what we have here over at Montana State and whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, it's trouble over in Grizzland. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are reveling in it. I do, like, it's whatever for me. Like, I don't like sit here and cheer it on just because, I don't know. I just don't do that anymore. I think a younger version of me would be sitting here going, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. Like, obsessed about it. Just doesn't bother me anymore.
Oh, man, I'm eating it up. I'm not talking any smack. I'm just kind of sitting there just like eating it up. Like, not participating. Just like, other people are doing it for me. Other people besides Cat fans are doing it. Taunting them. It's fun. I'm just enjoying the ride. It's like, I wouldn't be, the Cats are so good right now that makes it even sweeter, I guess. In a way. Like, if the Cats weren't good, then it wouldn't matter. If the Grizz were also bad, like, it's not as fun. The Cats are really good. The Grizz are falling from grace. That's where the action is.
Do you think Coach Houck's going to be there next year?
No. I kind of think I don't think he'll get fired. I don't know. We've speculated on this before, I think in the last year in the podcast. Like, is he going to just retire? Is he just going to eventually I'm done with this crap? It's a lot of work being a head coach, and he's getting older, and it just looks like it's wearing on him. And maybe the game is passed him by. The version of the game that he likes and the kind of system he likes to run just isn't really working anymore. And maybe he doesn't strike me as a guy who's going to adapt. So He might just like call it a day.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I don't see him re-upping his contract. I know it's a contract year. And
Yeah.
Anyways. All right.
No more Grizz talk. I promise. Probably.
All right. Let's start off with the news. Sean Chambers, like I mentioned, was the Big Sky offensive MVP. Quick thought on that, Thorny?
Yeah, he's awesome. He played awesome, and he deserved it. I was thinking that is a Larson or Larison kid or whatever for UC Davis would have probably got it if he wouldn't gotten hurt in the third quarter with 255 yards already. But, yep, Chambers well deserved. Great game. Great performance.
Injury report from Coach Vegan. Let's run down. He said, just leave Tommy off the list for now. When he kind of said that, first thought my heart was like, oh, cool. Another game of Chambers. I'm looking forward to this. But I kind of already knew we were going to roll with Chambers. I'm not thinking we're going to see Tommy until we come off the bye, which is when? When's our bye week?
Yeah, people keep saying that, but I keep like not looking it up. Like, when is our bye week?
Oh, let me see. So we play Portland State. I guess that's, yeah. So I guess after this week,
oh wow,
get a bye.
Okay.
Before we play Cal Poly.
Well, geez, it doesn't matter who
That's
plays
like
at Cal Poly.
Me. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
All right, so no Tommy, rolling with Chambers again. We'll get into thoughts about that here in a moment. What else is new? Ty McCullough practicing. Maybe he will play. Question mark. Simeon. He had a cast on his hand, and in the game, did you see it?
Was
like
that
his
Woodard?
hand was like bandaged up. Yeah, questionable. We'll see what he plays. I imagine if he does play, he'll have one of those clubs on the end of his hands.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much that will affect you as a cornerback, probably with the interception stuff, but just being able to lock down your man, I'm not sure. Scottree Humphrey went out during the Weaver game. And so that's like a development I hadn't heard. And it makes me think that they wanted to use him this year instead of redshirting him. So Scottree's out. And then Cole Bullock is getting some more playing time in practice. It sounds like he's getting more comfortable with the playbook. So, and that comes on the heels of Vegan seeing that Neil Daly was out as well, one of our backup linebackers. And he's like, oh, we haven't really talked about that, but Cole Bullock's been getting some more playing time and he's looking better with the playbook. So good tackling in space. But that's pretty much all I gained from the Vegan presser and some injury news.
I mean, it's pretty impressive. We came out that physical game with Weaver State pretty much uninjured. Scottree Humphrey being the exception there. But overall, coming out of that pretty healthy. I was pretty happy to see that the injury report was so short and so unchanged.
Oh, well, one of the things Vegan did say that I kind of chuckled at, he said, we don't need our QBs to be physical. Like, okay, all right. Then why are we? That's like...
Is that his way of saying, like, they don't need to be plowing into defenders?
Yeah, we don't need them to get hurt.
No, we don't. Like, he's not wrong.
No, we don't.
Not wrong.
Exactly, we don't. Just hand it off.
Or if you're going to run it, just, like, get down or, dive forward, run out of bounds. We've talked about this. Tommy likes to turn his back and get tackled running backwards. Like, there's all sorts of things that they do that they don't have to be doing. It's not worth the extra few yards.
Well, that's it, man. As far as the pressure goes, just let's bump up to the FCS rankings. I had my eye on this week because I was hoping Montana State would bump up to number 2. We held court at number 3. We did not overtake North Dakota State. And I get it. North Dakota State didn't actually play. Neither did South Dakota State. The Bobcat fans should be hoping for that because if that comes down to the end, and we get a number 2 seed, that would keep us home for the playoffs. So that's my hopes. Let's see Idaho moved up from number 7 to number 4. I was right when I predicted that they would flip-flop spots. But Sac State then went down to number 8. And let's see here. Weber State dropped from number 10 to number 13. Shockingly, Montana only went down to number 18. And I don't know that. They were at 13, and they only dropped to number 18. Eastern Washington, who is 2-2 and arguably way more cohesive of a football team right now, is number 19. And UC Davis, again 2-2, went from 15 to 21. So Eastern Washington pops up in the top 25 as predicted. But the shocker to me is Montana not dropping out of the top 25.
I mean, it's a long way to drop from 13 to unranked.
Yeah, but 13 to 18, man. I mean, I thought for certain
that's pretty minimal. Like that's a minimal 22, drop 21. For getting smoked. Well, not smoked, I guess, but, getting taken care of pretty handily by an 0-3 team on the road.
By a bad team.
Bad team. Like, if they went and lost 14 to 28 against Weber State, that's one thing. Northern Arizona, like, you gotta drop more than... You can't be in the top 20. You shouldn't even probably be in the top 25, but 18, it's a joke.
I think that's people who vote on this not paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
They're just going, they only lost by 14 on the road in Flagstaff. Well, that must be a hard place to play. Didn't actually watch the game.
You always wonder, in particular against like this, like, do people think Montana is Montana State and vice versa? It's like people don't pay attention. Like some people in these polls, like it's just some like associate AD somewhere. It's just like the they're like, fill it out for me. He's like, oh, okay, and he just like puts it in.
I never thought about that. You're probably all right. Grizzlies benefiting
from our good name.
Riding our coattails, huh?
That's right.
Okay.
Tables have fully turned.
Man. I think Idaho State could beat the Grizzlies.
I don't know. We don't want to... Here we are talking more about the Grizz, even though we're not really going to do much about it. It's just a possibility. It's a possibility. Idaho State got a win under their belt, so they got some momentum. Yeah, and the Grizz are just a disaster right now, man.
I kind of told you. I think Idaho State's kind of sneaky mediocre instead of just flat out bad.
Sneaky ochre.
Sneaky ochre right now. I was looking at the Big Sky Conference stats this week, and we'll get into those as well. But Idaho State's like up there with the offense. They're like number 1, number 2, or something like that. I know we're number 1 in the offense, but passing offense, Idaho State's just slinging it around. They don't care. They don't give a flying rat's patoot at what they do, but they're just like, well, we're just going to keep slinging it around, see what happens. And I'll tell you what, man, once those guys start believing in that, it gets a little bit dangerous. Watch them put up a couple on the Grizzlies and see what happens. That's going to be interesting.
I feel like if you're a bad team or bad program, like you can be a team that throws the ball 60 times a game.
Yeah.
I feel like that's your best chance to at least, number one, get some fan engagement because it's a more exciting brand of football. But, if you guys, you can get quarterbacks who can sling it. It's probably easier to do that than to get an entire offensive line that's capable of run blocking. So
yeah.
Get a guy who can get the ball out, get some playmakers. There's plenty of those on the West Coast. I mean, got yourself an offense anyway, sort of. An entertaining offense.
All right. Let's get into the stats.
All right. The Bobcats stats. I'm buying time because I forgot to click on the link.
I feel like our stats segment should be something we could sell. If you want to buy our stats segment.
Yeah.
Stats brought to you by
Reach out, I guess.
JC Penney's.
I'm not going to do an ounce of work trying to get someone to purchase that, but if someone wants to reach out to me, sure. First downs. Montana State 24 first downs. Weber State just 13. Third down efficiency. Bobcats were 5 of 12. Weber State 3 for 17 and 2 for 6 on fourth down. I went over this in the instant reaction show. I remember it. 5 of 23 on third and fourth downs for Weber State. That's atrocious. Total yards. The Bobcats managed 518 yards of offense to just 208 for Weber State. Weber State managed just 101 yards through the air on 29 attempts and 14 completions for 3.5 yards per pass. That's terrible.
It is.
I feel like you could just throw screen passes all game and get more than 3.5 yards a pass. The Cats were 8 for 17 for 10.1 yards per pass, so much better efficiency and yards per pass there. Cats ran for 346 yards on 45 attempts for 7.7 yards per carry.
Let's go.
Well, the Wildcats just had 107 yards on 41 attempts, so they ran the ball just about as many times as the Cats did, but 2.6 yards per carry. Not quite as good at running the football as the Bobcats are. One turnover in this game was a fumble by the running back. I can't remember which running back did it, but it was McCade O'Reilly, I think, forced the fumble, and John Johnson recovered the fumble. Time of possession was pretty even in this one. 29 minutes and 10 seconds for the Wildcats and 30 minutes and 50 seconds for the Bobcats.
A couple more. We punted 4 times for 177 yards. They punted 7 times for 345 yards.
A lot of miles punting.
Let's see. We had 4 sacks, not 9, Thorny.
That's what the screen said,
4
man.
sacks for 22 yards.
I'm going to go back and rewatch it and see that it says 9.
Now, there was a stat, and I don't know if I believe this. It did say that they got 3 sacks on us.
That seems unlikely.
I know, right?
Well, maybe. I mean, Chambers went down a couple times. I mean, we dropped back way more, so that's what happens when you pass. You do get sacked a few times.
I remember one distinctly, but 3? I'm not sure. Anyways, Montana State hardly ever gets sacked, so it seems like a weird stat. Montana State was 4 for 6 on PATs and 0 for 2 on field goals.
Ugh.
That's a good old Foley work upon right there for Montana State. All right, let's run down some personals. Chambers, the Big Sky MVP, 8 for 17, 172, 2 touchdowns in the air, 12 for 86, 2 touchdowns on the ground. That's quite the Chambers game. 4 touchdowns accounted for. Attaboy.
Touchdown machine.
Yeah, Julius Davis, 14 for 132. Jared White was 13 for 71 with a touchdown. Our boy Elijah Elliott was 3 for 61 for a touchdown. The long of like 50-something in there. I didn't write down the long, but most of that came on one of his carries, the touchdown carry. Pickering had himself a day, 3 catches, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns. The hulking guy from Sunburst, CT, had 4 catches for 67 yards. Seabass had a sack. McCade O'Reilly had 5 solo tackles, 6 assistants, and 1 tackle for a loss. Also, or excuse me, not tackle for a loss, a forced fumble. Can't read my own handwriting there. Drew Polidor, who's becoming one of my favorite players on the Bobcat, had 2.5 tackles for a loss. Ben Seymour had 1.5 sacks. Brody Grebe had a sack. Kenneth Iden had half a sack. On the Cat side, the Wildcats side, Kylan Weiser was 14 for 29 with only 101 yards, and he had 4 sacks. And Bankston, their big running back, who I was just nervous about, had 14 carries for 42 yards, averaging 2.6 yards per carry. Dominant victory, Montana State, 40-0.
Yeah, I'm not sure I said the score. That happens about half the time I do these stat segments. 40-0, man. First shutout in, Big Sky play since 2006?
I've heard so many different stats on that this week. I don't know.
I know. It seems to be all over the place. There was like 2016 one. That was like a D2. It's like the first FCS Big Sky one since 2006. Regardless, it hasn't happened a whole lot. And to happen on the road against Weber State, who, no, not necessarily an offensive juggernaut, but I don't think Weber State's been shut out in some time either. They lost they're 45-0 to Southern Utah in like 2016, I guess, was their last time they were beat this badly. Back when Southern Utah was having their little run through the Big Sky.
New coach, Mickey Mental, coming off 2 really good games, I thought. I played the I thought they played really well in the Unidome against Northern Iowa, where they won. And then you and I both watched the game against Utah. They looked like they held their own against Utah's a top 10 team in the FBS. So no way I would have thought Montana State would hang 40 on them, let alone hold them to nothing. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly a lot to unpack from this game in terms of like the scale of it, the scope, what it means for the rest of the season, but a lot kind of in the weeds in this one, in the details. Like, let's just start here. Sean Chambers under center. What? We came out with that.
My gosh.
Three plays in the beginning. Sean Chambers under center, hands off to Julius Davis 3 times in a row, get about 7 yards and punt. What are you feeling after those 3 plays?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because you texted me, you're like, what the hell are we doing? And I said, I just asked myself the same question. We were setting them up. Yeah. And then we saw the play action. We're like, oh, there it is.
I do think that my text was on the second series because we ran it 2 more times in a row, I think, in the second series before the third down. So I was like, what are we doing? 5 straight just undergun handoffs to Julius Davis? Is this our game plan? What are we doing?
Did Housewright just mail it in? Well, it's completely different. And then, tip of the cap to Taylor Housewright because he's not consistent. Well, he's consistent in the fact that he shows a lot of different offensive formations. The Cats have people swimming right now. The way we use our quarterbacks, the way we use our receivers, the window dressings of our offense, we're so multiple with it. And it's so cool. I mean, I think that probably has a lot to do with our offensive production.
Have you ever seen a team be able to kind of just shift offensive philosophies so drastically one week to the next?
No, man, that's a good point.
It's interesting.
It's like a really good talking point.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody say that.
No, we go from like zone read, RPO stuff, kind of our bread and butter, although you and I have both said it looked a little different than maybe it had last year, but, largely the similar philosophy, the same way. And all of a sudden we come out under center and we decided, no, we're a play action rollout team now. Like, what? I would like the things I would expected to see on Saturday from the Bobcats offense. That would be like, I don't even think that would have even crossed my mind.
Yeah. You know how Coulter Nuanez does his 3 big things about the Cats, 3 big things about the Grizzlies. One of his big things was that the Cats look better. They operate better with one quarterback.
I agree. So much to talk about with the quarterbacks, man. I'm so sick of like discussing quarterbacks in Montana State, dude.
Hey, I got something for you. All right, I was thinking about this. I got a little kind of question for you. All right, let's go with me on this. Say you grew up in a household, and your mom makes a banger pot of chili. Like it is the best chili, and she's known for it. It's like family recipe. All right, it's legit good.
Okay.
When you go to like potlucks, mom's bringing it. Go to church stuff, mom's bringing pots of chili. Like the neighborhood knows, your family knows, your aunts, uncles. It's mom's chili. It is the sauce. All right. Later on in your life, get married, and you marry this fine lady like Val, and Val maybe has like a new recipe of chili, and she introduces it to you, and it like awakens something inside of you. You're like, oh my gosh, that is some dang good chili. And it's like something you've never tasted. You didn't even know you would like this type of chili. All right.
Okay.
So here it comes. There is a family function that mom and daughter are both going to, and they both bring their chili. They didn't talk to each other, didn't text each other. It was just like, oh my gosh. And there you are as the son of your mother and the husband of your wife. What do, Thorny? Whose chili do you eat first?
I put a scoop into a bowl and mix it together and make a third variation of chili. That's the best version yet.
No, no, you don't. You can't do that. Whose chili do you eat first?
Mama's chili, probably.
Ah, man.
Much respect.
Really?
Love you, Mama. Yeah, you gotta go with the woman who brought you into this world.
Do you know why I say that whole story?
No.
Do you even pick up on what I'm saying?
Not really. Are these the quarterbacks?
Yeah, kind of. It didn't land like I thought it would.
What?
I had that whole conversation in my head in the shower on Sunday, and it didn't land.
You really thought you had some...
I can't take it back.
Okay. All right. Well.
Oh, okay. So the chili that you're used to is Tommy Malott.
The chili that you're used to is
Right.
Tommy Malott, okay?
Your wife's new chili is the new offense in Sean Chambers. So when this comes back, when these two come together, when Tommy's healthy, which bowl of chili are you going for?
It's the third bowl
You
of
said
chili.
you mix them both.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
The correct
I
answer
basically
probably
said
would have been
what
like,
House Riot's doing. We're putting both of the chilies together.
yeah, or you eat 2 bowls of chili so you don't offend anyone.
Yes. All I know is I kind of want a bowl of chili right now.
Yeah.
That sounds really good. It's like cold. I'm a little bit sick. That spiciness from the chili would be, oh, yeah. I could go for a bowl of chili right now.
Okay.
All right. Well, there's a good intro segment somewhere in there, I'm sure. A little filler bit. Yeah, that was good. That was good stuff right there. Okay. Where do we go? Let me think about this for a second. We got to recover. What I'll just say is, and I've said this last or on the instant reaction pod. I think I said on the Bobcat Nation now, kind of putting the take out there a little bit more. I just kind of like Chambers better as QB1. I love Tommy a lot. I love that he's a Montana kid, and that counts for something, and he's a winner. He hasn't lost, and he's done nothing to lose a job. But it's like when you're looking at an offense, and you're just like straight looking at it from like it just passes the eye test. I just keep coming back to that phrase. It just looks better. It looks more fluid, more dynamic. I know Chambers is going to throw some picks. He will. At some point, he will throw some picks. But he'll also make some throws that Tommy never will. So it's like you can't have it both ways, I suppose. But I don't know. It's hard to really not like what Chambers does, and it's hard not to envision Tommy coming in as more of a true gadget player, not like his own thing, like Taysom Hill or something for like the Saints.
I think it's totally fine to feel like that. And I think a lot of Bobcat fans probably feel a little bit guilty or confused by it because we love Tommy. I mean, he's Tommy football. So I get it, man. I feel exactly the same way. I felt that way last year. I feel like we probably talked about this on the pod last year. It's like, I feel a little bit guilty for liking Sean Chambers as our quarterback a little bit more. Am I wrong in seeing that? And then we kind of struggled with that and bounced back. And then, Tommy came back and he was great and kind of just shoved that underneath the carpet. And then comes like Weber and we just look more fluid. We look more multiple. We just it's smoother.
Yep.
And Tommy's great too. Don't get me wrong. But like you said, there's like a comfortability when Sean gets the ball and he's standing in the pocket. It's an ease to it. He's back there. You just trust it. With Malott, he's sitting there bouncing. He's so much twitchier and he bounces outside. He makes exciting things happen. But in that exciting moment where he's making things happen, seems like he's missing the play that's actually had developed.
I think another way to maybe phrase it, Sean looks like he's not trying. Tommy looks like he's trying. Does that make sense? Everything, like when Tommy's throwing the ball, it's more like a laborious, he's putting his full body into it. It looks like he's just exerting himself. Sean just looks like he's like throwing a ping pong ball.
All right. So let's say they're both healthy. What would Ryan Thornburg, the OC, do?
Oh man. I think I kind of already said it. I think I'd have Sean be the guy, and then I'd use Tommy a lot. And I bring him in and have both of them feel the same time and do some crazy stuff. But I think Sean's my guy in a majority of the normal snaps, if you will.
So the way Montana State runs their 2 QB system is very unique. It's not just Tommy, you take some turns, Sean, you take some turns. It's very much more integrated, but they also have some defined roles. Like Chambers is very much the 20 to
the red zone man,
the red zone guy, right? And Tommy's the guy who feels like we get in a lot of 3 and longs with Tommy, and then we let Tommy just scramble and get 12 to 13, and that's kind of fun.
It works,
but it gets him hurt. Like there's some limitations to that, right?
Yeah.
Sean's not perfect either. Like right before half, he missed a wide open guy across the middle right there. So remember when he tried to fit it into CT, and the CT
like
was double covered?
Yep, it was like Trimble or something with Dragon behind him, like
wide open,
more or less wide open.
Yeah. Like there was a safety shadowing him, but he was going to get there in time. That's 6 points right there, right? So, and there's some stuff he missed, but I don't know, man. Early on in that game, I put it on Bobcat Nation. I was like, hot take, Chambers, starting quarterback 1, QB1. A couple of brave souls jumped under like, I think you're right, man. I agree with you. But then I got a couple be like, nah. And then I don't want to piss anybody off, but it seems like it's the Montanans who really dig in their heels a little bit on this and be like, no, it's Malott. We got to stick with Malott, dude. I get it.
Yeah. I mean,
it's to a national championship, but
it's like an extra level when you get to root for the Montana kid who's leading the team. There's an extra level of pride that you have and you feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I get that.
I really do.
But ultimately, man, I want whatever's best for the Bobcats. That's all I care about in the end. I know some people on Bobcat Nation have said they'd, if they beat the Grizz and we go 7-4 and we have a bunch of Montana kids being stars, like that's what they want. I want to see us win national championships. I don't care if 100% of the players on the roster are from Arizona. It's like, it's not as fun, don't get me wrong, but I want us to win. Winning is what I'm here for. Winning football games.
Yeah. I absolutely hate the narrative of nothing matters besides beating the Grizz. We could go 0-12, but if or 1-12 or 1-10, and if that one wins against the Grizzlies, made year. I hate that kind of.
It's better than 1-10 if the one wins against Northern Colorado. But that's it. That's like literally it. That's a terrible year of football.
Absolutely terrible year.
I mean, at that point, you've already given up on the season. So I guess when you win and you've already surrendered and gone through the entire steps of denial or whatever, by the time you get to the Cat Grizz, you're 0-10. Sure, I guess. Let's hope that we never have to experience that. I guess it would have been 2001. But we didn't win that game, so. But we're 0-10 going into it. But, I don't know. It's a good problem to have. That's all I know. I don't think there's no wrong answer. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's no wrong answer. I think either way, the Cats can beat a majority of the teams and probably win a national championship with either one of them. And that's a great problem to have.
It's a small sample size. It was just Weber State, and we waxed Weber State. That was, let's not underestimate the statement that win was. Beating those guys in their house the whole week. I mean, if you haven't listened prior to this, I was worried. I was like, this revenge game. There's going to be blood in the water for these guys. They didn't look like they could do anything. Absolutely nothing. Man, that was a big one. Sean Chambers at the helm. we'll see what happens this week during homecoming. Gosh, I miss being in Bozeman for a homecoming. Do you remember like being at North Hedges, South Hedges, lighting up the rooms, the MSU? I hope they still do that.
I
Just
hope
the
so.
pageantry and the fun of homecoming. Gosh, so lucky. I wish I was there.
Yeah, me too. A few more thoughts about Weber before we get out on Weber. It sounds like we're kind of wrapping it up. I want to first give kudos to the Cat fans that were there. They were louder on TV. Straight up. The Bobcat fans were louder on TV than the Weber State fans.
Yeah, more yellow in the
and they looked,
in the crowd too.
The crowd looked good. They were loud on TV. Kudos to everyone who made the trip down there. Got to give props to that. I want to give huge props to the linebacking crew. I think you and I had some questions. I think a lot of people had questions. How are we going to replace like Callahan O'Reilly? Is Danny Yu ready for that role? I think this is a statement game for Danny Yu, even though he got himself ejected. I thought he was playing extremely well. I think Nolan Askelson had himself one of the best games I've seen Nolan Askelson have, and then Mikade O'Reilly comes in and doesn't even miss a beat when Danny goes down. And those guys are kind of like all rotating even when they're all healthy and not ejected. So I think that the linebacker crew has answered any questions that they've had in the offseason, and I think they're playing at an extremely high level.
You're not going to mention the secondary, the clamps of our secondary?
I'm doing one thing at a time here. I got that down on my thing here too. But why don't you take that one?
You just had to take a drink of beer over there. I
thought
I love our secondary play. You don't notice them because they're just always making plays. Our free safety, Drew Polidor. Come on, we could just do a whole podcast on him. The angles he's taking right now, Thorny. That's one thing I just love. Seeing him get into the backfield is so much fun. Every time we blitz him, I just love it.
It's decisive and he's fast. He's playing very fast right now.
Yeah, and he's a sophomore. Dude. He's a sophomore. Him and Ort have been a fantastic safety combo back there.
Yeah, Ort's playing really well this year. He's a huge upgrade from earlier last year, and he's an upgrade over himself from last year. But right now he's being overshadowed by Drew Polidor, which is crazy. That's just how
John
good
Johnson
our safety
had
is.
himself. He was like sticking on to his guy like white on rice out there. Love seeing John Johnson doing his job.
Yep.
I love the fact that Weber never scored. I thought they were going to get a cheap one there in the fourth. They never did. And that's really credit to the safeties in the back end in the coverage that we're playing. Also, before we start, if we're just giving around some like fist bumps to some players, Ben Seymour.
Yeah.
And he had himself a game. He's coming off the ball so fast this year.
I'm glad that you brought his name up because I was actually thinking about that yesterday. Is like he was one guy that I kind of wasn't necessarily harping on, but I was like, if I'm going to pick a weak link on the D line, it was Ben Seymour because I didn't think he could set the edge very well last year. I thought he was more just a pass rushing guy. I think he's proven he can do quite a bit more. I don't know if he bulked up or if he just really committed to the offseason or just another year of playing football and he's just that much better, but he's looking a lot better. And he's kind of that last missing piece on the defensive line that has really improved. At least the starting unit has really improved. You got 5 guys because you got Iden coming in and Spelling or even coming in at the same time. You got 5 guys that are really playing at a high level.
I think the whole thing Montana State's doing right now is really good. Outside of their place kicking duties, everything Montana State's doing is really, really awesome right now.
Agreed, man. What a statement win. I couldn't be happier with the way that turned out. It's pretty weird. 20 points in the second quarter and 20 points in the fourth quarter and 0 in the first and 0 in the third. So it played out kind of weird. With the way the Bobcats kind of attacked it, though, kind of trying to wear them down and set things up, it kind of makes sense, but it's kind of funny, I guess. Not going to complain since we won 40-0.
Huge win. Weber's always tough.
Where would you rank this
feeling
win?
We're going to see those guys again.
Where would you rank this win as a Bobcat fan?
Drink it down. All right. Let's move on to Portland State.
Hey, just real quick, did you hear my question? I think we were talking over each other at the same time. I didn't want to, because people will hear it on the podcast. Where would you rank this Bobcat win?
I said drink it down.
Drink it down. You don't have to answer it. It was just a fly off the cuffs question.
It's one of the best games I've seen Montana State play stem to stern. I was thinking about that the other day. The South Dakota, the Sam Houston State game ranks to me as the probably top game. Like Montana State just on the road, just everything fell in place. You think about the Cat Grizz games too of late, where we've hung absurd amount of points on them. Those feel different to me because it's Cat Grizz, and Cat Grizz seems to be its own animal.
You gotta have it's a little separate category almost.
But conference opener against a team that we beat, had a three game winning streak against, who definitely wanted some revenge against us, was looking good early in the OC out of conference schedule. This is a really good win. It's hard for me to place another win above this actually as far as like just feel good. Like, man, it feels really good to be a Bobcat right now, because I don't know if I've seen Montana State look collectively this good across all facets.
One of the most complete games I've seen.
Yeah.
Like just no negatives other than the kicking game. Nothing. It was crazy. Just an absolute feel-good win. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely top 5 win, at least in more modern times, I would say, excluding maybe the Grizz. But yeah, it's top 10 all-time win for me. It's a great win. I think when we look back on the season, we'll remember this one.
And it doesn't feel like a fluke. Like, it just feels like we've been building to this. Like, this is sustainable.
Yes. Well, I feel like it's just like we've arrived. It's a statement. This is who the Bobcats are. Watch out. And Weber State may not end up being very good this year. The jury's still out on that, but it doesn't matter. You don't go down there and just hang a 40 burger on them, 40-0 like that, if you're not a good football team.
No, they're still big, still rough and tough. They still have really good defense. We made those guys look silly.
They were swimming.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on Weber State?
Nope. I'm good, dude.
Because it's time to talk about the top 5, all-time top 5 Portland State Vikings coming to town for homecoming. Oh, man. This is an interesting game, man. I had completely written off Portland State this year.
Where do you even get that stat? Top 5? What do you mean?
This is the joke from the Big Sky Podcast Network.
Oh.
I think it mostly alludes to Brian Marceau poking fun at Coulter, who always overvalued Portland State for a couple years there.
Yeah.
Because I was like, Portland State, man, they're going to make some noise, and they end up going like 3-8 or something. So I think it's all kind of just a poking at Coulter, really. But it's kind of a joke that's lingered on for a while now. Top 5 Portland State. I don't know, man. They're a weird team this year. They're a weird team. They're very interesting. They run the hell out of the ball. That's what they do. They run the ball. I've only thrown the ball like 4 more times than the Bobcats have this year, if it puts it into perspective. And they have the number 2 scoring defense or scoring offense. They have the number 2 rushing offense. And they ran the ball 12 less attempts than the Bobcats this year. So they are running the football, and that's all they're doing right now. So that's going to be an interesting test. We haven't played a team who's like runs the football. Now, they do it in different ways, obviously, than we do. But they are running at a high rate, and they are scoring a ton of points, 43.5 points a game. And that includes a 7-point effort against Oregon.
Yeah. How much did Oregon put on them, though?
81 or 90?
Yeah.
81, yeah. Because they scored 91. Portland State scored 91 against North American University, which is, it's fake. That's not a real school.
Like, you couldn't be more polar opposite from Oregon. Those 2 games are so disparate that it's hard to even fathom those stats. Or Portland State's number 5 out of 12 in rush defense right now, allowing 141.5 yards per game. Montana State's going to obliterate that.
Yes.
Obliterate that. They're 11th in pass offense. Montana State is 8th in pass offense, so there's something similar to that. They're fourth in total defense, allowing 335 yards. Total game. We will have that on the ground, I would assume. We're kind of like pumping these guys up a little bit, but let's talk a little bit Montana State's rankings real quick. Montana State is number 1 in scoring offense and number 1 in total offense. And I think Montana State's number 1 in total offense in the nation, Thorny.
Total offense, right? Really? I don't know.
I think so.
I haven't checked into that.
I know. No. We were number 1 in rushing offense.
Yeah, rushing I can see, but like total
325.8 yards per game. Montana State is number 1 in scoring defense in the Big Sky. Did you know that?
I did.
Only allowing 15 points per game.
It'll help when you shut a team out.
Yeah, we're number 2 in total defense, allowing 284 yards per game. So, pump up Portland State all you want, and rightfully so. We need to respect them. I'm not saying we shouldn't, but your Bobcats are pretty damn good right now, man.
Absolutely, yeah. This is a game that Bobcats should be able to win handily at home. But, we're here to talk a little bit about the preview. A couple things that kind of jumped out to me, I guess, when I was doing my little deep dive in this. They have the number 1 punt returner and the number 1 kick returner, both in terms of yards per attempt. And their kick returner is Christian Grubb, who has a touchdown, and their punt returner is Quincy Craig, who's also their running back, who also has a touchdown. Grubb is number 8 in the nation in yards per return, and Craig is number 12. So,
bold prediction.
They found some guys who can return the ball.
Out of punt and kickoff returns, there will be 1 in this game.
It'll be the Bobcats, Marquis Johnson.
No, Portland State will get 1 return.
You think they'll house
and
one?
I'm not sure. They will probably get a punt return.
Yeah.
They're not going to touch it on the kickoff returns.
That's a good point. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I was trying to figure out how they're scoring so many points. It's crazy. I was like, are they scoring defensive touchdowns? Are they housing a bunch of kicks? Like, they have 2 total kicks returned for touchdowns, and they have like 1 defensive touchdown. So it's nothing. It's not that, and their yards per game is only number 8 in the conference. So how are you scoring 43.5 points a game? Like, I don't get it. They're just getting like good field position nonstop.
Well, they played that the team that doesn't actually have a name.
Yeah,
but
I understand.
What was it? So
North American University.
Yeah, North American.
And then Cal Poly, right? They hung pretty hard with Wyoming, who is like 4-0 right now. They lost a game 13 to 31, I think.
Who, Cal Poly?
No, they lost to Wyoming. Portland State lost to Wyoming.
Oh.
And they actually had a touchdown called back on a penalty that had a wide open touchdown that would have pulled it to 24 to 31. So it was 17 to 31 and ended up being the final. That was like 4 minutes left in the game. They scored a touchdown that was wiped off the board, and then they didn't score. They hung well with Wyoming, though. So I think they could be a good test. They are the number 7 team in the country in creating tackles for loss. So they're blowing plays up, but you have an aggressive team like that, aggressive defensive line. That's just money signs for house, right? You can exploit the crap out of that. If they got defensive linemen that are hungry and pushing upfield, they're going to get eaten up.
They're not running that flex defense anymore either.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. I don't even know what that looks like. So I'm glad that you know, because I was watching highlights like, is this the flex defense? I don't even know what it looks like. So
Coach Vegan calls it the Desert Storm defense.
Yeah. That's funny.
Which is a cool name for defense, by the way.
Yeah, I can see that. That's a good name. All right. Anything else you want to say in summation for me? I think we have basically the same game plan that we had at Weber. I think that wins this game handily.
I'm excited to watch our offense now. It's kind of fun. I don't know what we're going to do. Are we going to go under center? Can we go out of the gun? What are we going to use our tight ends for? Montana State's got it rolling right now, man. It's fun being a Bobcat.
We need to protect our assets. So let's not get Chambers hurt. Because if he's hurt and Tommy still is hurt, because no one really knows the situation there, like it's Jordan Reed. So,
and then we're going to be throwing the ball 30, 40 times a game.
And then things will get real funky real quick. So I say protect Sean, have him do some rollouts and stuff, and he'll scramble and he'll pick up some first downs. But there's no need to be designing QB power runs with Sean Chambers against Portland State. Maybe if they were still doing their flex defense, you can make the case because that was kind of the kryptonite of that. But I don't think it's going to be necessary.
Give me a bold prediction for this game.
You go first. I need to think on that.
I'm thinking it was something with Elijah Elliott.
Elliott's our
got
leading
like
rusher.
one carry. Did you see Elliott get like in an early carry in the game?
Yeah.
At Weaver. And then he just like, no, we don't give it to him again until the very end.
Yeah,
and then
I saw him early on.
His
I'm
run,
like, okay, we're going to get more involved, but no.
Man, the run that he scored on, I was like, where was that hole? He just pinged right through a little crease.
He has such good vision, and he's elusive, and he can squirt through a hole, and then he's probably got the best cut on the team. Like, it's just mind-blowing how he's not RB2, right?
So there was a moment when he scored his touchdown, and and he runs onto the track there in Ogden. The first guy that meets him right there is Marquis Johnson. I'm sitting there just shaking my head. I'm like, there's a picture of two guys I want touching the ball more.
Yeah.
They're not,
absolutely.
Who are like late game enters. Here we go. Here's a bold prediction. Marquis gets a touchdown. Elijah Elliott gets a touchdown. There you go.
Mine was already Elijah Elliott leads the team in rushing, which is
what?
Which is just not going to happen. Dude. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
No, Julius Davis. Is going to lead it.
If the game's over at halftime and Elliott gets the bulk of the reps in the second half, it could happen. It probably doesn't happen in a good way. If it does happen, it's because he got a bunch of yards in junk time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'll still stick with it. I'll go with that. Why not? Whatever. I got nothing else.
Give him like put a 150 burger on him. I could see that.
All right. Anything else in Portland State?
Yeah. No, just don't lose. Montana State.
Yeah.
Homecoming. We've been there before. We've lost homecoming before. It's not fun.
No, I mean, it's coming off a huge road win, but the fact that we're back in the confines of Bobcat Stadium, I think the crowd will get them pumped up if there's any sort of letdown or hangover, whatever you want to call it.
Hopefully it's good weather. It's been kind of iffy around here lately. It's like fall definitely has come in over here in Spokane. It's like windy and rainy, and it's not nice.
Did you just fart?
I did.
Well, that's going on the podcast. We're doing no edits anymore, so I heard that loud and clear, sir. Maybe it'll edit out. I have some stuff I do.
My wife's chili.
Yeah, that's the chili. The comforting chili. Okay. You want to move on to some Golden Coolie questions?
Yeah. I'll get the ones from Bobcat.
I got one real quick here. It's kind of plays into what we've already been talking about. It's from our buddy Shay Richter over at Wilbur Ellis. Thank you for the question and thank you for the sponsorship. He asks us, if Chambers keeps the rock at quarterback, do you keep Malott off the field, or where else could you play him at? He also mentioned something about possibly redshirting Malott, which is a pretty interesting concept.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Because, Chambers is a senior. And you redshirt Malott and just keep them there. And if Chambers gets hurt, boom, redshirt's over. But that's a thought.
I had not thought about that. It's funny because if you actually start thinking about Tommy could play multiple positions on the Bobcat field. He could play defense too.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shay mentioned safety.
Slot.
Yeah.
Or nickel.
Yeah.
Safety. Yeah, that could work.
I don't know. I think he's too good of a runner. Whatever I have for Tommy, if somehow I'm not having him at, the main ball handler, he's getting the ball in his hands somehow. I don't know how. Like I said, I think kind of a Taysom Hill role would be really good for him while Chambers is a senior, and then Tommy can come back and kind of fully take the reins next year.
What's interesting was last year, it was very definitive that we heard that when Tommy came back after his concussion, that he's QB number one. And we were on the heels of Sean Chambers being a really awesome version of Sean Chambers. And then Halshire was like, no. And it was well understood. You're QB number one. I wonder if that's still the thought at MSU.
It's a good question. There were, like you said, there were definitely the game was coming out and saying that. When Tommy's back, he's our guy. He hasn't said that this year. I don't think that's
like I said
to read
early
into,
on. But small sample size. If Chambers lights it up again, if he goes like 4 touchdowns again, 2 on the ground, 2 in the air, 200 game, like he did at UC Davis.
How do you just stop the offense when it's rolling like that?
Exactly, right? That's what I'm saying. Like,
it's just hard to just, okay, well, that was good and fun and all, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems like you just can't make the pivot if it's working so well. I don't know. It's a bad situation for Tommy, and I feel bad about even speculating about it, but I don't know. All right, next question.
You're the first person who said that. It's a bad situation for Tommy.
Well, it is.
And I think I totally agree, and I think not many people are willing to say that. So thank you. I think I appreciate that kind of honesty, because that's going to take, no doubt, you and I, people are going to listen to this, guys who listen to this podcast, we're going to get criticized. This is like, you and I are not very hot takey, but this is like forcing kind of a conversation. Like, we're just trying to put it out there, what we think.
Yeah. Yeah. It's we try and be honest on this podcast. We definitely don't try and stir the pot, but I don't think it's stirring the pot necessarily. I think we have a quarterback who's playing better than the other quarterback. Black and white, kind of. If you just boil it down, take all that extra stuff out there, one guy is outplaying the other guy. Not by a huge amount, but it is to me. He is outplaying him, not by a huge amount. I'm saying, like, it's to me, that's the take.
All right. Let me ask you this question. If Chambers was the guy from Butte, Montana, and Malott was the guy from California, this would feel a lot different.
Oh, it would be Chambers.
Yeah, exactly.
If he's the guy coming off the bench who was just the Montana kid who was waiting to get a shot or whatever, and then the starting guy from California got hurt, and now he's doing his thing. It'd be a completely different narrative. Completely different.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Shay. Can I go to Bobcat Nation now?
Yep.
All right.
Good turn.
Roger Fisher, 94. Kyler Neal thinks SDSU would beat us in the playoffs due to the quote unquote NDSU effect. I think he means NDSU learns from their mistakes and comes back ready to learn from them. Do you think this explanation is the ultra conservative play calling? Explains the ultra conservative play calling at South Dakota State.
That's an interesting question. So you're thinking that we kind of use this as kind of a feel-out match for potential rematch later on?
I don't know if I read it like that.
Okay. Well, what do you think?
I don't know what Roger actually means on that question, so maybe we could go with your interpretation.
Yeah, I thought he meant like we kind of left things a little vanilla because we want to save some for a potential rematch later on.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So,
I would agree with that.
Kind of like we use this as kind of we're jabbing them just to kind of feel our opponent, and then later on for the second matchup. I don't know about that. If that is true, I'm a little disappointed because I think we needed to win that game. I would rather have gone all out to win that game and secure a potential 1 seed. Because if we're going to play them again, I'd rather have it the other way around where we beat them and they have to come to Bozeman to try and get revenge. I'd rather have that scenario. I don't want to go back to Brookings.
See, I could argue the opposite. I would say we didn't need to win that game, and it's maybe a good thing that we didn't. I'm not sure Montana State was willing to show everything in that game to be early season number 1. Because there's still a path, Thorny. There is still a path that South Dakota State, let's say South Dakota State remains number 1 throughout the year. We could be number 2. We don't collide until the national championship. We just need to have that number 2 seed.
I mean, if SDSU wins out, that means that we'll have beaten North Dakota State. And like Matt Frazee said on the FCS Nations podcast today, he's an NDSU fan. He's concerned. He's like, because in this scenario, he's like, there's no way that North Dakota State loses to SDSU better than Montana State did. So he's saying, like, if NDSU loses, the seeding will go to Montana State.
Let's go.
In a scenario where Montana State wins out, which is, I don't like talking about that kind of stuff this early on. It feels weird to me. That's probably what you do when you're in an elite program. But we have so many games to play. We have a hard slate, and they're all on the road. But in that event, like if we're talking long term, I think where we're sitting now isn't bad, because that will mean NDSU will lose to SDSU, which means we'll probably leapfrog them in both seeding and ranking. It's always better. It's better to lose early season. We've learned this, right?
Oh, absolutely.
If you lose a huge matchup in week 2, it's so much better than losing a huge matchup the final week of the season. Even though if you zoom out, it doesn't matter really. You're 10-1 regardless of how you spin it. But yeah, losing early, people forget about it, and you start moving back up the rankings. You got to be penalized
losing
for
early
loss.
to the number 1 team in the nation by 4 points.
There were people that thought MSU should jump NDSU after losing. And now everyone's like, oh no, MSU is good at number 3. It's like, you guys all said that we should jump them after beating or losing to SDSU, and now we go on the road and whoop a top 10 team by 40 points, and we're cool now? I don't know. That logic was hard for me to swallow.
I do like how you texted me this week, and you're like, it was good to get that win, that first road win. That's a tough one, that Weber State win.
1 down.
Yeah. And not only the way we did it, right? It makes, because I think like a week ago, you and I were thinking, man, 7-4 is on the table. 7-4 doesn't feel like it's on the table anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's, I guess it was always a possibility, but yeah, it was so good to win that one, because, Idaho's looking a little tough. It's funny how the optics change throughout as time goes on. In the beginning of the season, you have your ideas of we're going to be tough games, but then Weber State loses their head coach, Sac State loses their head coach. All of a sudden, those games don't seem as scary anymore. But then Weber looks like they're Weber, and then Sac State looks like they're still Sac State. So all of a sudden, like, okay, well, they're all going to be hard games again. And Idaho's looking better than ever, so it's good to get one of those out of the way, because I still feel like there's a decent chance we drop one of these games.
Yeah. And it really depends on how we keep our quarterbacks healthy, because they're both prone to getting injured.
Yeah.
So cross your fingers, Bobcat Nation. All right. Missoula Cat Fan says, what is worse, listening to Bobby Hauck interview or getting COVID?
Listening to Bobby Hauck. Because I've done both. I've done both.
Yeah, I'm going to say getting COVID's worse. I know what to expect from Bobby Hauck. I also know what to expect from COVID. You too. I'm same. Thorny. The Gris Fan pod had to go virtual because of, I think,
that's right.
One of those guys had.
Yeah, they had to go Zoom. A little Zoom last second action.
Bobcat. If a Bobcat player gets tackled on the Portland State sideline, will Robbie Hauck jump on after the whistle out of habit Will he twist the cat player's ankle as well?
Yes. I also wouldn't put it past Robbie Haupt if a cat player is breaking loose down the sidelines. There was a game. Robbie Haupt.
Gosh, I remember that.
The sweep the leg thing, right? He tried to spin kick a guy, sweep him out from under him. The guy straight jumped over him and kept running. It was hilarious. But I wouldn't put it past Robbie to try and do that to a cat player breaking down the sideline. I'm joking. There's no way he would do that. But
it was like the Mortal Kombat leg sweep.
Yes, it was very martial arts-esque, and I think he does martial arts, so it makes sense. I thought I read that he does that kind of stuff, but it's like, you don't do that in a football game. It looked ridiculous, and it was hilarious that the guy just easily dodged it.
Did you see how high Julius Davis got in that picture? I think it was against Stetson when he hurdled the player.
I don't know if I saw that picture.
Photo from Skyline.
Oh yeah. Dude, he's athletic,
parallel
man.
with his legs. Yeah, dude, that guy's a stud.
Hey,
absolutely.
Buy or sell Julius Davis blowing a kiss mid-run to the Weber State sideline.
I'm buying it.
You buying that?
Which is funny because younger Ryan Foley would have said, "No, I'm selling it." So you showboaty. Yeah. I like it now.
You're supposed to be the opposite. You're supposed to be more. No, that's degrading the game. You don't do that kind of stuff as you get older.
No.
I don't know. I didn't love it when I saw it, but upon further review, I'm like, okay, it's kind of funny. But I just don't want to be known as the team that's taunting like that. I just don't want that to be our moniker.
I think I would make him run, do some like bear crawls at practice, and then slap him on his butt and say, "Good job,"
and say, "Don't do that again." That was hilarious, though.
Yeah, smile and shake his hand and be like, "Don't do that again."
I saw that in real time. I had to actually rewind my ESPN Plus feed. I'm like, did he just blow a kiss, or did he try and signal face mask? It's like, I think he blew a kiss.
It would only be better if it was the Grizzlies on the sideline and he did that in the Cat-Grizz game.
I actually started rewatching the game a little bit today. I was like, when did this game get chippy? I'm like in the second quarter, and everyone's so hunky dory so far. So something's going to happen at some point. The only thing that's happened so far in the second quarter is Brandon Hall missed his first field goal, and a Weber State player was definitely jawing at the kicker after missing a kick. That's the only thing I've seen. I've been watching every play and watching eyes darting around to see who's talking trash and if anybody's doing any funny business. And so far, it's all. There's been congratulating and each team picking up their players. Like, okay, this is all nice so far.
So I have a theory on Brendan Hall's misses. Sticks Hall. There it is.
Sticks.
Yeah, it was last week. It was that was a Golden Coolie winner.
Yeah.
He was calling them stilts.
That's what they came up with. And you're like, sticks. And I'm like, I don't know which one I like better. But anyway.
Well, I kept thinking about it over the week. And every time they came up, I was like, oh, it's sticks. And I was like, no, it's stilts. But sticks was in my head. Sticks and stones. There it is. That's
sticks and stones. From. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And plus look at him. Sticks makes a lot of sense. My theory is because he has such long levers, such long sticks, that his leg is not through.
He's not closing his foot.
Yeah, it's kind of like a golf swing, to a guy slicing the ball.
Yeah,
and with his drive,
he's not getting his club around, doing with the head around fast enough.
Yep, I think that's exactly what's happening. So that's my theory. Sticks isn't getting through.
Not a terrible theory, I suppose. If that's true, it's pretty easily correctable.
Is it? I don't know how you correct that. Do you start your motion earlier?
Yeah, you plant your plant foot half a yard back. So then your leg can swing further through.
Oh, you're you don't know anything about kicking. You have no clue.
Oh, you do?
No, but this is, like I said, this is my theory.
You know enough to tell me I'm wrong.
That I do.
It's the classic, I don't know what's right, but I know that's wrong.
You just coming in with these I know how to fix that. That's the easy
I know how to
fix.
fix
All you
that.
gotta do is plant your foot a little half yard
Come on.
earlier.
That'll be
Like
$100.
it's common knowledge. Come on, man. Jeez.
You're the one that's telling me you think that he's missing right because he's not swinging his leg fast enough, basically.
And I prefaced it with my theory. I didn't come in and say that definitively that's what's happening.
Oh, man.
My gosh. Let's get out of here, man. We got a couple more.
Yeah, let's get some more questions done.
All right. That was a good one. Robbie Howe cannot help himself. That would be funny.
I hope the Robbie Howe jokes never die.
Yes, please keep them coming.
Yep. I will never get tired of the tackles joke.
Oh, so good. MSU 01. With his next win, Coach Vegan will tie Jeff Choate and Ott Romney for the 9th all-time with 28 wins. That's a stat. He's already had more playoff wins than any other MSU coach, albeit in an expanded system compared to decades past. Does he already deserve to be included in the discussion of MSU's best head football coach ever?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so. Montana State's never been as good as we are now, talent-wise. We've been to the national championship, 2 semifinals back-to-back. I don't see why we're holding back. He's really good.
No, when we zoom out of this, no matter what happens after this, this is an elite run, and he should get a ton of credit. And yeah, absolutely.
Something struck me today when I was listening to Coach Vegan's presser. The way he talks about just the intentionality of what they do. Everything's dialed, so dialed. And I'm starting to think that you're starting to see it just bleed through the entire program. Now we've felt it for a couple years. His fingerprints are on it everywhere. We were so nervous when Choate left. Because Choate was the Grizz killer. And he was just like, he made us just tough badasses. Coach Vegan came in. And we're like, oh man, we're going to lose that edge. And then Cat Grizz happened. And we thought we lost our edge. It's better, man. It's better with Vegan.
We almost have more of an edge now than we have had under Choate.
Yeah.
This year's squad
we're more complete. We're not just like a brawler.
No.
And that's what I liked about Choate's team, because we were diametrically opposite of what Ash was. And I was so tired of the Ash stuff. So I just wanted that.
Yes.
Which is like, that fed me. I was like, yes, give it to me. Oh, I need that. But that was just like emotion a lot of the time. This just feels more like kind of like North Dakota State feels, right? You always say that. Like, we feel like we're North Dakota State. It's just like we're just better. And we know we are.
Yep.
So
I agree.
That's all we got on Bobcat Nation.
I did have one on Twitter. We could talk about real quick here. He got this question in early. It's DeMikes. I think he's asked us a question before. He asked, "What's wrong with Seaman Woodard?" We kind of already went over that a little bit in the press conference discussion. And he is, what's the punishment for Danny Yu? Does he miss the first half of Portland State for targeting? I believe he does, right? That's the rule.
Yeah.
If you get ejected in the second half, you miss the first half for the next game. At least that's how the rule used to be. I haven't heard it changed. I haven't heard any confirmation on that. But yeah, I think he's out for the first half, which is just crummy. It was minor.
Call.
He put himself in a bad spot. There's no reason that he needed to dive on top of that guy who was already tackled. But that's a minor infraction.
Tough.
Yeah. And then, like you said, Idaho game, Giovanni McCoy gets he slides feet first, gets targeted into the ground and bounces his head off. That's cool. That's perfectly not a penalty, I guess.
No. It was flashbacks to Tommy. I'm pretty sure he's concussed.
Tommy didn't get flagged either, right?
That I can't remember.
I don't think there was a flag on that play.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
And there was also the play later where Chambers had the nice
I think
big
there
run.
was a review.
Yeah, there may have been on his, but Chambers had the big run where he's getting like held back, and then an Eastern player teed off on him and hit him in the head, and that was fine too. So there's been such more worse things than what Danny did.
Yeah. All right, let's pick one. I can't pick the one with the Robbie Hauk. I just can't reward anything with Robbie Hauk in it. Almost funny.
Okay. Well, then you got to do something.
Let's give it to MSU 01. That's a good one about Jeff Choate or Coach Vegan. Woo!
We always used to clap. Let's bring it back. Make sure we're clapping here.
Good job, MSU 01.
You did it. You asked a question that we liked.
Woo! You did it. I'll send you a coolie.
All right, man. Anything else you want to say?
I want to apologize for a lackluster episode. Feeling a little down there in the middle, but the chili brought us back. That was a good laugh in the middle.
I think this episode is going to be solid, man. Don't worry about it.
Did air flatulence.
You farted. And we talked about chili. High quality slow. Stuff.
It started slow, but there's some high points in there, some good giggles. It's a good time to be a Montana State Bobcat. That's what I'm feeling right now, man.
Yeah.
Wake up in the morning. You woke up on Sunday going, dang, it feels good.
That's right.
Like, it was a good moment. And then all day yesterday, I was like, man, I think we can get number 2. I was really hoping for stats. Perform, come out here today and see Montana State number 2. I'm really enjoying my Chambers being the quarterback. I like the discussion. I want to have more discussion around Tommy Mellott and Sean Chambers. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does on this weekend. But overall, we didn't mention it a lot. Our defense looks so much better this year. Like, that's been the biggest surprise to me as a Bobcat fan. It's just how good our defense looks. Like, in all levels. Surprisingly, I feel like Montana State's defense is probably the best defense in the conference I've seen. And you would have asked me that going into August, it would have been like, oh man, I hope we do all right.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's singing a different tune about Coach Garza right now. So it's like, you're like, okay. And what did it take? Another year of getting used to it and maybe Drew Polidor being in a better position? Is that it? I'm not sure. It could be. So, I don't know. Like, I just feel really blessed to be a Bobcat fan. Defense looking good. Offense is just doing awesome. Our offensive line, like, those guys are such badasses, and we don't talk about them nearly enough because they just do what they do every game, and we just kind of expect them to do what they do. But if you wanted to look at the opposite, go look across the divide. Look at the troubles the Grizzlies having. They would kill for any offensive line development in the last 6 years, and we have had such great offensive line. So Montana State, man, we got it going right now. And let's keep it going, right? Because I want a national championship. I want to see these cats win a national championship. That's what we're here for.
Well, we got basically a month before our next game that I think we have to really worry about. We got Portland State, we got a bye, and we got Cal Poly. So it's a good time.
Sac.
And then we got Sac. So, yeah, man, you said it. Great time to be a Bobcat fan. I think I'm going to leave it there, man. You said it all.
Coming off right there.
All right. Well, thanks for our sponsors, Gear Up Sports, and also, what are you smiling at?
Wilbur Ellis.
I'm like, did I say it wrong? It is Gear Up Sports. I haven't done it yet. I don't think I've put them in the end here, so wasn't quite as confident as I should be. Thanks everyone for listening to the show. You can always find us on Twitter, our Catcast. You can find us on, I'll put it out here, Instagram. Thanks to Zach. He's kind of running the show over there. He's doing a good job. So we are our Catcast over on Instagram. I've been avoiding that because we pretty much abandoned it, but he's bringing it back. So Instagram's back in action. You can find us on the web, rcatcast.com. You can find us on Bobcat Nation. I am Celtic Moose. He is Common Cat. We have multiple threads about coolies and episodes and all that good stuff. Fully, man, let's get out of here. Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.